With an all-time high TSS, 543, and an all-time high kilojoules burned, 8,000, this might very well be the best cycling performance of my career. ... so far.
I want you to drown out the sound of my voice with your cheering these riders on. 200 miles is what lies ahead. In 3, 2, 1. Emporium, make some noise. We are off and running.
Welcome back to the Drew Dillman YouTube channel. We're at the Unbound 200, and if you don't know what the Unbound 200 is, you must live under a rock. It is the biggest gravel event in the world. It's like the Super Bowl of gravel racing, which is kind of funny because gravel racing is so small that comparing it to the Super Bowl is kind of laughable. But just in case Uncle Bob, who doesn't know the first thing about gravel racing, is watching this video, Unbound is a 200-mile cycling event that happens almost entirely on dirt roads, starting and finishing in Emporia, Kansas. The exciting thing about Unbound are all the challenges that it throws at its racers. The flint rock in this region makes flat tires a real risk. The lack of shade and high June temperatures make heat exhaustion a real risk. The extremely long distances between aids makes dehydration a real risk. And the fact that it's 200 miles means exhaustion in general is a real risk. You're gonna flat, you're gonna get hot, you're gonna get tired. That's Unbound for you. Just for some background info, this is the third time I'm starting Unbound. In my first attempt in 2019, I quit at mile 175. Last year in 2024, I finished a not so impressive 60th place. So this year, I'm going into Unbound with the goal of making a big enough improvement that I can be proud of. Now, I am connected to reality enough to realize that winning this race is probably not in the cards for me. It's very slim. So I'd rather set a realistic goal and shoot for that. Unbound is my AA race of 2025. This was the race that I was training for and thinking about all winter and all spring. If you want to see all the crazy things that I did to prep for this event, you can check out my Unbound prep video that I launched right before the race. After hanging out all week with my teammate and really good friend, Chase Aerodork Wark, we were both convinced that it was advantageous for both of us to try to make it into the early break. Like I said, the odds of us winning are very slim, but trying to make it into the early break increased those odds ever so slightly. And we had the exact point at which we were going to launch this attack, mile 8. This is the same spot that Chase and 3 other riders established the early break the year prior. Notice how Tobin Ortenblad, black and white kit with the teal Santa Cruz bike, slower teammate of Keegan Swenson, is very active at the front of this race. It is very clear that the strategy of the hit squad going into this race is to have Tobin be very present in the front part of this race for the first half, so that if an early break does happen, the hit squad will be represented and Keegan can sit back and relax in the meantime. One of the controversies from this year's Unbound is the drafting advantage that the video buggies provided to the guys who were at the front. Now, it doesn't seem like from this footage that I was that close to the buggy, but I can tell you without a doubt that when I was in this front group, I could definitely feel the drafting advantage of that big buggy in front of us. A breakaway does end up forming, but it's more of a field split than it is a breakaway, with over 20 riders being in the group. Now, I'll take this because jockeying for position into the first few pinch points of the race versus 20 other riders sounds a lot easier than jockeying for position against 150 other riders. We hit the first off-road rowdy sector about 26 miles into the race, and I managed to stay in the top 5 or 6 wheels throughout the entire section, keeping in mind that the less riders that are ahead of me, the less likely that it is gaps will open or just any other chaos could happen. I check in with Chase to see how he's doing after bridging up to this breakaway group, and he says that the group is a little too big and he wants to try to break away off the breakaway. So he tells me to back off and let the gap open, but it doesn't work. Some European bro tries to coach me on not letting gaps open. What a doofus. Last year, me and Ian Boswell had a fun time playing a little bit of cat and mouse throughout the race, and so it felt pretty good to blow past him on this downhill. Tobin jumps lanes ahead of me at just the wrong time, because just when he does that, he almost tackles this guy who crashed in that mud pit. It was pretty darn close. I didn't get it on camera, but a few miles before the first aid, I made the biggest mistake of the race. Brendan Johnston attacks and I follow him. The group quickly chases us down and Brendan launches a second attack that I don't follow. And before you know it, him and about 5 or 6 other riders are off the front in a chase group because Simon and Cameron Jones are obviously already off the front of the main group. Now, this second group on the road ends up establishing a good gap, and they hold that gap all the way to the finish, with most of those riders finishing in the top 10. I could have been in that group had I followed Brendan's wheel. Here's a quick look at the hourly lap report up to this point. Aid 1 is at 70 miles and it takes us just under 3 hours to get there with an average speed of just under 25 miles per hour. And as you can tell, I have used a lot of energy with intensity factors well over what they should be for a 200-mile race. Dizzle Kibitz number 19, pacing is dead. We roll into the aid and I go to the front of the group to give myself as much of a buffer just in case I take too long stopped getting my feed, to give myself a buffer so that I don't end up dropped off of this main group. This is a good strategy because Keegan Swenson, arguably the strongest rider in the race, is doing the same thing right next to me. I'm stopped for a total of 11 seconds. That is an F1 level pit stop. Thank you to Sophia and the Good Life crew for having it super dialed. You guys crushed it. With only 2 aids throughout the entire race, you have to get pretty creative with how you carry enough hydration to last the entire race. Here is my nutrition plan. From miles 0 to 70, I had 2 1-liter bottles, both containing 150 grams of carbs of the Good Life Carbs Mix. I had a top tube flask from Profile Design that had a total of 250 grams of carbs from Gel Mix, of which I consumed 100 in the first 70 miles. From miles 70 to 150, I had another 2 1-liter bottles with 150 grams, a 1-liter bladder that was frozen solid that I stuffed down the front of my jersey to pull a Lachlan Morton Aero Dork trick, and I consumed 3 more of the gels along with a 500 milliliter Aero bottle of sweet tea also attached to my top tube. From miles 150 to 200, I had 2 more 1-liter bottles of 150 grams of carbs and another 500 milliliter bottle of sweet tea. Altogether, that's about 1,200 grams of carbs, or about 130 per hour. If you want to save 20% off your next Good Life nutrition order, you can use code RADDADDIZZLE at checkout at fuelyourgoodlife.com. One of the great things about running mountain bike tires, like I did, the Conti Race King 2.2s, is that 1, they're faster on dirt, but 2, you don't have to be as hesitant on the rough downhill sections because a standard gravel tire would be more prone to flatting. A mountain bike tire, however, is less prone to flatting on these rough sections. I liked riding behind this guy in the all-black kit because if you look closely on the back of his legs, there's a little smiley face. And I recently heard of a research study where indoor cyclists were put to an all-out effort test, and just seeing a split-second glimpse of a smiley face improved performance. So staying positive, even through just a split-second image of a smiley face, increases performance. That's pretty cool. Dizzle Kibitz number 22, stay positive. I decide to attack here because the group is going pretty slow, and if a small group of us can get off the front, that gap should open up pretty quickly. We've already seen this with 2 groups that already have over 6 minutes on the main group who have already attacked. I also am very aware that Little Egypt, which contains some of the hardest climbs on the course, is coming up in just a few miles. And I don't anticipate sticking with the main group over those tough climbs. So if I can get a buffer, a head start on those climbs, then the chances of me sticking with that main group past Little Egypt increases. But it doesn't work. And I have a funny interaction with longtime friend Alexi Vermeulen, who asks me, dude, what are you doing? We're only 100 miles in and we have 100 more miles to go. Why are you attacking? And I said, so I explained to him why I attacked. And he said, dude, you gotta believe in yourself a little bit more. Good advice. Ahead of me right here is Alex Wild, who started following this channel earlier this year and even DM'd me to say, hey, I like your videos. So I kind of thought it was funny that somebody this much faster than me watched my videos. I guess there are some fast dudes that are actually kind of cool. When you see the fast guys like Keegan and Alexi move up, probably a good idea to follow. I managed to stay with the main group on the hard parts of Little Egypt, but right at the top of one of the climbs, I get a little bit gapped off the group, and me and a few other riders managed to chase back on after a few minutes of hard effort, and to my surprise, I'm still in this main group after Little Egypt. Altogether, Little Egypt takes about 16 minutes with a normalized power of 350 watts. This is about 96% of my FTP. And this is also where I hit my highest heart rate for the entire race of 193 beats per minute. Water. Ha! Who needs it? We roll through the Alta Vista water stop at mile 113, and shortly after that, there is a pretty big field split because of some strong crosswinds, and I find myself just on the wrong side of that field split, but I look back and see that Matt Beers is also in this group, which is good news. Have no fear, Beers is here. With a 500 watt FTP, he'll pull us back to where we need to be. I was a bit surprised at how soft Matt Beers' pulls were. Little did I know, he had already suffered multiple flats and had to burn quite a few matches to chase back up to this group. And I can't believe I just said that. Me, bottom sniffer Drew Dillman, thinks that Matt Beers had some soft pulls. What a dumb thing to say. I may have missed the split, but the group that I'm in is stacked with hitters. You've got Beers, you've got Russell Finsterwald, Simon Nordels Finston, Admiral Burge, and eventually we pick up Peter Vakok and Pete Stetna. And here's another look at the hourly lap report after 6 hours of racing. Again, very high IFs for a 200-mile race. I stick in this group all the way to the Council Grove aid at mile 150, and up to this point I'm thinking, wow, we're in a group fighting for the top 20 and I feel decent. I was thinking that if I could just hold on to this group to the finish, I might be able to fight for a top 20 or top 25 finish. Here are the stats so far. For 6.5 hours of racing, my normalized power was 294 watts or 0.81 intensity factor with an average heart rate of 168 beats per minute. The second aid was also only 11 seconds. Dial. But almost immediately after the Council Grove aid, I completely detonated. I was blown away at how quickly I went from feeling pretty good to barely being able to turn the pedals. And I have a theory. That I hit my max energy expenditure, my body simply just turned off. I quickly get dropped from the group I'm in, and soon after, 4 or 5 more riders blow right past me, including Admiral Burge, and I can't even get on their wheel. When I look back at my training leading up to Unbound this year, this theory makes sense. My biggest day on the bike was only 362 TSS and 5,800 kilojoules burned. At mile 150 of Unbound, I was already at 450 TSS and 6,200 kilojoules, more than I had ever done leading up to the event. And I still had 50 more miles. I know that in order to stay with these fast groups, I was having to ride at a higher intensity factor than my competitors. This is a pretty risky move in a 200-mile race, but it had got me to 150-mile mark in the top 20, which I would say paid off. At this point, I was so cracked. Here are some of the thoughts just cycling through my head at this point. Number 1, try to fight so I don't lose too many spots. Number 2, I don't even care if 100 people catch and pass me. I'm pretty happy with how I raced. Number 3, don't let Tobin catch me. We've got a pretty long racing history against each other. Number 4, I should probably drink some more. Number 5, I think I'm gonna barf. Number 6, I wonder if DJ would be ahead of me or behind me right now. And number 7, I can't give up because my 3-year-old daughter said that I'm not allowed to. I link up with these 2 other guys and ride with them for the last 20 miles, and we managed to hold off any more people from catching and passing us. However, at this point, I've probably given up well over 15 spots just in the last 50 miles of the race. I really did not feel like sprinting this group. But I did get a ton of hype from my Good Life gang at the top of Hot Dog Hill. And with this renewed motivation, I had to stay true to my own advice. Dizzle Kibitz number 4, always sprint. I knew that the blue guy was probably the strongest guy in the group, so when I looked back and saw that he had opened a gap to get a run on the sprint, I went ahead and launched it as soon as possible, and I almost held him off. He came around me right before the finish. By the way, I did hit my highest power of the race in this sprint of nearly 1100 watts. Here's a final look at the hourly report to give you an idea of just how pathetic the last few hours of the race really were. My normalized power immediately drops 50 watts, along with 20 beats per minute for my average heart rate for the last 2 or 3 hours of the race. I end up finishing 34th place with a time of 9 hours and 12 minutes. You can look at this result from a few different angles. I was only 20 seconds off of Lachlan Morton's winning time from 2024, and I was 45 minutes faster than my own time in 2024. When you look at it that way, seems pretty good. But on the flip side, I still finished 35 minutes behind the winner, which is only a 10-minute improvement upon my 45-minute gap from the winner the year prior. And despite this being my best cycling performance ever, I still only finished 34th place. You can't brag to your friends about a 34th place finish. But I think the biggest thing that I've gained from this race is confidence. More so than any other race in my gravel career, I was at the front. I was in the mix. I was with the hitters. I'm starting to feel more and more like I belong at the front of these races. And to me, that's a win. Dizzle Kibitz number 21, find the wins. That's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.